Welcome to the Practising Maker. By aligning imaginative facts with real ones, we discover the pivotal appeal of acts of speech as germinal elements to stimulate other emotional regions in human beings. At the current stage, the uncertainty where the traditional causeness of stuff has been removed by social, natural, and formal sciences, and the leftovers by philosophy, theology, arts, engineering, and technology, orienting us to take on the heterogeneous bundle of phenomenon, we could abide by harmoniously adorning human behavior by improving onwards and upward the incursion in the territory of our native tongue, if possible in others too, which will bombard us with flesh challenges in various senses. Unfortunately, the antagonistic cast of AI by the protagonist role of natural intelligence subdues any meticulous and discernible approach to account for the premises and procedures backing up such judgment. Technological optimism zones critical mental states out, and apocalyptic resistance to AI pours wearing obstinacy and cognitive dissonance, where social-political framework hangs on how an epistemic agent might go from one extreme to another. By the authority vested in the inalienable properties of physical stimuli and metaphysical ability to connect the path to serenity, building a bridge between revocable and irrevocable attitudes regarding perishable and imperishable intake of critical thinking, conveys us to hunt for the speech craftsmanship dominance, on account of dreary syllabic weather for anyone who pensively tries to learn transcends actuality without understands its inner world. Frankly speaking, the ungraspable ethos of global communities in their economic and political interrelations climbs up the transgression of the principle of non-invasive intervention by the cultural dominance of developed countries up to lexicographical aspects, forbidding exceedingly unapologetic rules for the sake of withdrawing vexed questions on murky detour along oversimplification of languages and its dictionaries. Most of the time, altruistic gestures endowed by a massive urn of resoluteness, denuded of harsh and discordant statements or eloquence, conceals proponents' ideological patterns, though philosophical too, associated with colonialist practices of getting access to the eidetic postulation of subjugated groups, because, erudite or not, all human beings linger in the shadowy and unbecoming conscious state some degree of serenity, much more in the inescapable extrapolation towards others. By not waking up to the fact that every human has a social-linguistic reference point, theory of reference in logic is well-ordained foundation to the matter, it has void the pervading intolerant deforestation of environmental and cultural values by following putatively glimpses of patriotic efforts of bonhomie, besides which distortional waves of moral commands are distributed against minorities. On the first hand, it enables us to ennoble the debate over aesthetic values in democratic societies. For instance, the subject of either the beauty or ugliness of open borders, with its pros and cons when they diverge from traditional iconography of historical rules and structured moral purposes, as appointed in the jurisprudence canon of each sovereign nation, in staking a much-needed adequate literary endeavor, crossing off platitudinous acts of speech as a fleeting fictionality of nonsense, fleshing out a towering heraldry of research in pathologic rhetoric of annihilation of vices, people gain intricate equipoise to see off several mistakes in their pursuit of amusement by not adhering to the representation of physical frameworks and metaphysical descriptions in an unidirectional fashion. On the other hand, we often see unskilled and rightward arms have unquenchable repercussions in shoddy political postures, or worse, in uninspiring, inimical, and unrewarding entanglement, psychological and physical violence, where spontaneous and apparent words went their way to activate reaction in other cognitive agents. It is not fresh and dates back centuries ago. Nevertheless, current scientific comparative studies allow us to survey through overindulgence and the sojourn in hostile fidelity to combative discourses unfitted and unethical for the general benefit of mankind. In this context, it would be grossly obstinate to stymie universal progress without rational argumentation, though it rests on chivalrous explanatory gadgets. Moreover, people could ransom effete outlooks by attending epistemic and doxastic logic, parcel in the prowess of working conceptual outcomes beyond its specific academic application, notwithstanding, as Mary Hesse wrote in her paper in defense of objectivity. Quote unquote, it has been abundantly demonstrated in the history of all natural sciences, theories have always been expressive of the myth or metaphysics of a society, and have therefore been part of the internal communication system of that society. Society interprets itself to itself partly by means of its view of nature. Even to deny the property or relevance of this is to hold a view of man's relation to nature, namely their total separability. This is a sense in which nature does indeed partake in the dialogue of a man with a man, and can itself be said to be informed by human meanings and subject in its theoretical aspects to hermeneutic methodology. The interactability of dependent or independent of the subject, reality in an interconnected world elicits in some global cultures treacherous viewpoints against knowledge in general, science in particular. Non-epistemic values in powerful stratified business groups are reluctant to invest in what they do not know, reaffirming a conservative attitude that only changes under the pressure of menacing existence in some political, military, economic, and enterprise sense. In this manner, instability confronts the precursor decision of permanence, but occurs somewhat extemporizing by declining fertility in understanding, because any interpretation is accompanied by distortion of why their ideas were counterproductive, reinstalling the myth of eternal return. One of the setbacks of the globalist and anti-globalist positions is the cross-cultural and cross-ideological elements situated in their standpoint, which is studied by the theory of reference. Even this script, in the form of description, is constituted by paradigms, some of which are for us to accomplish more wisdom and compassion for human beings by discovering how to help ourselves to be less unhappy, or, the same, suffer as little as possible, leading by the epistemic tools recollected by historical processes using non-epistemic ones also, to elucidate techniques, conditions, and causes of temporary individual events by looking at vast perceptual similarities and dissimilarities within much less sensory experiences, though we are living in an era of comparative studies predominance. It is vital to toss out undesirable slants for humanity. Thank you very much for joining us. We were with you, script and voiceover, Juan Eduardo Reluz Machicote, sound and image, Jessica Francesca Garcia, direction, Griselida Reluz Chafloque. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found some valuable insights. Remember to stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop learning. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Cheers!